Now, going on to the culture part of the podcast, you have Ben and Jerry's feeling a blowback and their stock dropping. Now, Ben and Jerry's has been a ice cream company for my whole life, and not to say I'm a trendsetter, but I've been boycotting them for 30 plus years. Partially because I've never purchased their product, partially because I'm a man and I really don't need candy to be happy, and I don't have kids, so why would I buy ice cream? It's like, I'm trying to think of the last decade I had ice cream. It's a very luxurious, frivolous item you do not need every day. Now, on the 4th of July, Ben & Jerry's thought it'd be a brilliant idea to tweet a message for everyone. So on the 4th of July, the most important date in history, July 4th, 1776, everything after that is just an afterthought. That's what started the revolution, the Declaration of Independence, the most important document in history. But I digress. So on this most special of days, Ben & Jerry's thought it'd be a brilliant idea to tweet that Mount Rushmore is on indigenous land and the United States should give it back. Which is a lazy BS argument that you hear every 2 weeks from people about indigenous land and companies and people should give it back. Since Cain and Abel first, you look at throughout history, going back to the very beginning of time, land has always been disputed and always been taken over by other cultures and other civilizations. It's how we're here today. No one has ever gotten their land back. A little bit in the United States. But more hilariously enough, Ben & Jerry's factories are also on land that used to be owned by indigenous people, because of course every land was. And a lot of people are saying, well, Ben & Jerry's, why don't you give your land back? You're a multi-billion-dollar company. They're actually owned by a global company known as Unilever, or Unilever, depending on how you want to pronounce it. And many people don't think it's a coincidence that Unilever's stock dropped precipitously by $2.6 billion on July 5th. Again, July 4th, the stock market was closed, so you really couldn't do much transactions and see much. But because of this backlash. And Unilever is also a hilarious company, partially because they own Dove soap, which pretends to empower women that are large and unhealthy. I say pretends because they own Dove soap, which has that message, but they also own Axe body spray. And Axe body spray, false advertising of the year, they claimed, Axe, they also make deodorant. If you spray the body spray onto yourself, hundreds of thin, attractive women, double on top, I was going to say, attractive women, obviously, they would flood towards you. And I was remiss to say, I actually was at a grocery store, or was it CVS, some type of convenience store. And there was a cute gal down the aisle. I saw the Axe body spray. I thought, all right, here's my moment to shine. I take it, I sprayed it myself. I looked at her. She didn't run towards me like a magnet. Quite the opposite. She was quite concerned and gave me a weird look. And to this day, I don't know if I'll ever forgive Unilever for that false advertisement. Kidding, obviously, somewhat. But I digress. Now, in the same time that their stock dropped, their competition actually did great. So Bluebell, a much superior company, also headquartered in the best country in the world, Texas. Yes, I said country, not a slippage of verb or noun. Nevertheless, they've been owned by the same family for decades, still headquartered in Texas, and they got a lot of free publicity because they also happen to have a little carton of their ice cream that is red, white, and blue. It has the American flag on it, which is the best flag ever. So Ben & Jerry's not only managed to upset a lot of people, but they helped their competition. You're going to see this theme in a couple minutes where we also talk about other beer companies. Now, Unilever has also been named a international sponsor of war by the Ukraine, which I think that's a B. As much as I'm not a fan of Unilever, I'm not going to call them I don't believe in that. It's because Ukraine says, well, they still operate in Russia. Well, guess what? Russia still has Russian civilians who have nothing to do with the military conflicts. They have many people who are just living there, trying to live their life out. So I don't blame Unilever for wanting to support those people. But that's just my 3 cents. With the stock dropping about $2.6 billion, it'll be interesting to see, how long will it just jump right back up the next day? Well, I think the main concern is there going to be a big boycott around this, like the Bud Light fiasco, which has been the biggest boycott bar none in history. If you look at especially food and beverages, there's never been a boycott to that magnitude where they lost $28 billion in stock valuation. and also millions by millions about millions of dollars in sales. Usually, every week they're making about 27 to 30% less than they were the same week the previous year. So my theory is that the big reason you're seeing people concerned about Unilever, they're wondering, could this be the same thing? Now, I suspect Ben & Jerry's will not change any of their political stance or political affiliations or their messaging because they've done this for decades, so it's not exactly a new thing. I think more and more people culturally are starting to notice these businesses making these stances, and they're not very appreciative of the two-faced hypocrisy, especially in this situation where their actual factory was on native land, and of course they're not going to offer that land back because they really don't believe what they're saying. They're just saying it for virtue signaling. That's just my 3 cents. It used to be 2 cents for this 4-year hyperinflation. I should charge 4, but I'm a generous man. It's only 3 cents. Thank you everyone for taking the time to tune in today. We're trying to get to 3,000 subscribers this month, so I really appreciate you taking time to click that subscribe button. Don't forget to like as well as leave comments. The feedback is greatly appreciated. Also, don't forget to tell your family, tell your friends, tell your coworkers, heck, tell your enemies, tell anyone and everyone. Just stay safe and fight the good fight.